Okay, my introduction is going to be very brief. You need to get going. My name is Aska Hisa. I'm the Director of Learning and Engagement here at ICALA, and we are kicking off our two-part program this weekend with Cardboard House Press. Cardboard House Press being one of our bookshelf residents. We have a bookshelf residency program here at ICALA where we invite independent booksellers and small press publishers to be in residence on our bookshelves because we have lots of bookshelves, and so we share our space. It's been an ongoing way to be as a space in the city, to share and learn from each other. So today is the conversation and reading with Cardboard House Press. We'll learn a little bit about their history and then hear from some wonderful poets here today. And I'm going to let Ryan introduce those who are going to be speaking.
Recording in progress.
Ryan will be Ryan Greene, who is part of a key Cardboard House Press instigator, will be here to introduce our readers, our speakers, and talk about the history. The Cardboard House Press program is here until August, and all of their books are for sale. It's an opportunity to get your hands on these Cardboard House Press books because they're not always so readily available everywhere, which is why it's so special they're here. And we have an annex exhibition, Cardboard House Minutes, that sort of shows interactively. You can take some of the books off the shelves and look at them and then learn just visually a little bit about where they've come and where they're going. And there's a wonderful video in the space that shows how to make one of these books. So we're very inspired by the cardboard press movement, which started in Argentina in the early 2000s, and how presses like Cardboard House Press are taking it further and wider with different participants. And that's why tomorrow we felt compelled to have the workshop, because we want to have that happen right here at ICALA. So to teach others is a really beautiful thing. It's what we all live for, to teach others and to learn from others. So that's my intro. This is our little handout souvenir with bios. And so take it away, Ryan.
Cool. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, everyone. Gracias a todos por estar aquí. Yo no voy a introducir tanto. I'm not going to do too much introduction here. I'll pass it over to Cristian. But today we have members of the Cardboard House Press team and the Cartonera Collective team, which is a project of Cardboard House Press. My name is Ryan. This is Claudia and Cristian. But Cristian's going to take it away here about sort of context and history of Cardboard House Press. And then Claudia and I will share a bit more about the Cartonera Collective. Oh my. And then we're going to have a reading with Tilsa Otta and Honora Spicer, the author and translator of our most recent title, And Suddenly I Was Just Dancing. And then with Yaxkin Melchy and me, the translator of Poetechnics, which is going to be coming out on April 5th, so very, very soon. But yeah.
I'm Maricela Guerrero.
Yeah, and we're also going to read from The Dream of Every Cell by Maricela Guerrero and translated by Robin Myers. All right, Cristian, it's all you.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks to the Institute of Contemporary Art for having us for this shelf residency, and to Aska for making all this happen. And Cardboard House Press is I don't know if, am I talking close enough? Okay, good. It's an independent publishing house that started some years ago in 2008, but now I'm faltering regarding the years, but it's 2008?
2013 and 2014 officially.
2014 officially, and then it grew into the Cartonera Collective. Claudia and Ryan are gonna talk about that. But the Cartonera movement, as it was said before, started early in 2000 with Eloísa Cartonera, which is a publishing house that started out of necessity in Argentina in the middle of the crisis, the economic and political crisis that was engulfing Argentina at that time. It was Washington Cucurto, an Argentinian poet, who decided that in order to keep publishing books that were not published at that time, they needed to rely on whatever was available for them at that point. So Cucurto and other poets, they gathered with people who was collecting cardboard to use recycled elements in order to do books. So from the very beginning, the Cartonera movement was part of the community. It was born in the community. So that was something that we have tried to replicate and make it Cardboard House Press a part of the community wherever we are going. So and we as a publisher started this some almost 10 years ago, but we have been creating 3 lines of our different books. First are the books kind of more traditional, if you want. Then we have the chapbooks, and then is the cartoneros books, or los libros cartoneros. Entonces, esas 3 ramas, those 3 branches, are the 3 lines that we are working. But we emphasize the process of the creation of the book. We do not believe that a book is something that you pick up in a bookstore y que luego tú lo lees en la soledad, en el seclusion of your own room. We wanted to make visible the process of the creation of the book. And in that sense, we have created a team that we are spread all around Estados Unidos, desde Arizona to Cleveland now, and New York and other cities. And we are connected in a way that allows us to be both in the US and different countries of Latin America, even Spain. Y la idea es que vamos sacando el libro del ámbito de el mero creador, el simple escritor, alone, and we are trying to make the collective part of the creation of the book. So that's why we have this Cartoneros workshop, in which the community take part in the creation of the book, but also these other books that are more so quote-unquote traditional books are part of a process. We work with translators, and we want to, all our books are bilingual, so that's a creation of another space. The amount of books translated in the United States is somewhat reduced, to put it mildly. So we wanted that the translators, los traductores y las traductoras, que sean parte del proceso. Por eso trabajamos, somos varios los que leemos los libros y los vamos trabajando all together. In regard this, we have also devoted our time to publish poetry. We don't publish fiction. So that's one step further in choosing what we publish. If the amount of fiction translated is not that big, the amount of poetry translated in the US is even smaller. So we are aware of that. We wanted to kind of create this space, this bilingual space, make it possible for readers in the US to have these books with them in very carefully treated translations. Y algunos de los temas que nosotros hemos tratado de enfatizar es la situación política de Latinoamérica, el feminismo en Latinoamérica, the environmental concerns, and many other issues that are part of our current concerns. I might be forgetting something, but economics, dirty wars, migration, queerness are all part of the catalog that we have created and that we keep creating. I don't know, we talk about we should keep this bilingual, but I'm talking only in English, I don't know why. El catálogo de la editorial intenta traer temas que son temas de preocupación hoy en día y tratamos de que esos temas nos pongan en contacto con los lectores y las lectoras de los Estados Unidos. A mi juicio, in my view, the catalog that we have created recoge algunas de las voces más importantes de Latinoamérica hoy, que probablemente no sean las voces en algunos casos más conocidas. Por ejemplo, un poeta que está en el catálogo de nosotros es Roger Santibáñez, un poeta ya establecido, well established in Latin America. Pero también recogemos otras voces como los dos libros que tenemos acá de Yaxkin Melchy y Tilsa Otta, que son poetas más jóvenes que están abriendo caminos. La misma Marisela Guerrero, que es una de las poetas más importantes de hoy en Latinoamérica, but she is right now creating her work. It's not a very well-known all around Latin America, but we are pushing that cart in order to make it available for everybody. You tell me about the time, because otherwise I'm going to keep talking. I don't know where we are in the. Oh yeah,
I'm following you.
If you see some of those pictures, you changed it.
Oh, I can come back.
Oh, over there, we have probably one of the most decisive books in contemporary poetry in Latin America. That's Contra Natura de Rodolfo Nostroza, que es un libro publicado en 1970. And there was no available translation into English of that book. So we are incredibly proud of that book, especially. It's like a kind of one of my personal favorites. But if you go clockwise, you're going to find in the top right down the Carnation, which is a book of Marosa Di Giorgio. And Marosa Di Giorgio is one of the best kept secrets of Latin American poetry nowadays. She's an Uruguayan poetry, that small little country between huge Brazil and between Argentina. And she was publishing her books in Uruguay for quite a while time, and quite a long time. And she started being known only through the publication of Medusario, which is an anthology of neo-Baroque poetry. And now Marosa, it's available in English, and I think this is a huge thing. And all the other books are part of a very well curated catalog. If you keep going, we have Carmen Berenguer, a very political poet in Chile, right beside The Dream of Every Cell, de Marisela Guerrero. So I think the work we have done in terms of curating the translation and choosing the catalog has open spaces, estos espacios bilingües en que nos interesa no solo la creación de un catálogo especializado en poesía, sino también integrar a la comunidad en la creación de este catálogo y en la producción de los libros, ya sea en el trabajo colectivo de estas traducciones, ya sea en los talleres cartoneros que Ryan and Claudia lead in different places, but mostly in Arizona, in Phoenix, in terms of expanding the idea of how we create a book. It's not just one person by magic writing a book and then having this product. It's more of a process, and that process is collective, and that's what we want to emphasize. I can keep talking about the catalog, and just before I forget, I want to make you aware of some of the books that are over there in the shelves. You can see Cadavers of Néstor Perlongers, one of the more decisive, thank you, one of the more decisive poets in recent years in Latin American poetry. He represents the trend that is more well known nowadays, neo-baroque, and I have an echo, it seems like, and I can keep going on many of the titles, but another one that is one of my favorites. You can see I have many favorites. It's an album of fences, El Álbum de las Rejas, by Omar Pimienta. And I think that it's of a special relevance here porque es un libro que enfatiza o a través de lo privado, a través del poema centrado en el texto familiar, it goes to all of the issues that are of public concern. So he goes from private to public in a very smooth transition. Sus poemas sobre su familia marcan la idea de cómo la migración ha modificado el panorama de Estados Unidos, how migration has changed the panorama in the United States. And it's a book that it's really interesting to see because it shows the way we work. It's a blend of text and images. It's a blend of English and Spanish. It's a blend of private and public. So it's also a blend of professional work, but also friendship. We all know Omar. We are close friends, and he didn't get into the catalog because he's a friend of us, but he's a very interesting poet. But this relation, it also takes place and is important for us because, and Claudia and Ryan might talk a little bit further of this, but it also for us is a privilege to have the opportunity to do this job. I come from academia. I teach Latin American poetry in a research university, but this is kind of a down-to-earth work, and for me, it's the perfect opportunity to not forget that books are really hard work. They take a lot of time to be done, and there is this is part of una artesanía. It's a daily work, and you just don't study books. You create books. You write those books. You translate those books. You actually make them with all kinds of materials. So I don't know if I took all the time already or what.
Yeah. I think we can,
because
we can start talking about that.
I just mentioned in passing the three collections we have, the chapbooks, the more traditional books, and the Cartoneros books, and we have where we are. Oh, I lost it. But we have been presenting Cardboard House Press in different venues, en distintos lugares, all around the United States. Hemos ido a librerías, hemos ido a universidades, hemos ido a centros comunitarios. Oh, here we are. Over there is Giancarlo, top right. Giancarlo, one of the founders, in McNally Jackson in New York. In the middle is, I don't know who because I'm short-sighted, so I'm so sorry. But it looks like who they are, right? In the middle.
I can't see. I'm not sure.
Very close friends of us.
Yeah.
Down here is Claudia. Where you were?
Was that a reading at Palabras, or that's
No,
offsite?
Yeah, that was one of the ones that Rosemary
Oh,
organized,
that was at a downtown
Phoenix.
Phoenix
Yeah.
reading series.
Yeah.
This is Charlotte, who was also working with us with some of the translators, and Mara Pastor, another member from Puerto Rico of our catalog. That's Maggie Messerschmidt in a bookstore in Phoenix, right?
Creo que sí.
Yeah. So those are part of the activities that we do in order to make these books available for everybody.
Yeah.
We are there in LA reading. That's me actually reading in somewhere in LA. That's David Shook, the translator of A Room in Rome by Jorge Eduardo Eyelson. Roger Santibáñez with Charlotte. So all of these are part of our encounters with the community and trying to make the books available for everybody. And I think I've taken enough time, and I'm gonna let Ryan and Claudia to talk about that very important job of us with the Cartoneros books. Thank you.
Ryan was going to
Yeah.
take it away and start us off a little bit about.
Okay. Sí. Gracias por tu paciencia. Thank you for your patience getting the PDF going here. But yeah, Claudia and I are here from Phoenix, Arizona, where we're a part of the Cardboard House Press Cartonera Collective. As Cristian mentioned, it's a project of the press that is involved with making books like these that use recycled cardboard covers and are made in community in bilingual workshops together around tables like these. And we'll be making some tomorrow, and you are all welcome to join. But yeah, this pamphlet that we have up here is from a publication we did a couple years ago documenting a bit of the history of the Cartonera movement, which is a bookmaking movement that Claudia will talk a little bit more about, and then also documenting the history of our workshops that participate in that movement and some of the experiences of people who have been a part of them over the last 5 years or more. But yeah, this Cartonera Collective, Cardboard Minutes Libro de Cajas, is also the title of the exhibit we have here in the annex at ICA, and we're so grateful for this opportunity to have a physical, sort of embodied way to experience some of this history as well. But yeah, if you want to take it away, Claudia.
So as has been mentioned, I think Ryan and I are going to talk mostly about the Cartonera Collective. So cartoneras make books out of primarily the cartón, the cardboard, refers to the cardboard that becomes the covers of the books. And as was mentioned, we're sort of harking back to not that long ago, 20 years ago, 2003, when Argentina was experiencing tremendous economic turmoil. And so people took things into their own hands to publish their own books and began purchasing the cardboard from the cartoneros, people who recycle cardboard in the community. And so I guess we are cardboarders as well. So Eloísa Cartonera in Argentina is often referenced because of, it's one of the first in this century, although the movement harkens. It does go back further, but so we refer to Eloísa Cartonera. They may have started, I believe they started by photocopying poetry. And so it wasn't so much an emphasis on, the quality of the paper, but the content, of course, of the poetry. And then putting cardboard covers on and having them individually painted and decorated so that each one is also a work of art, a beautiful book. In español, in Chile, se dice un libro objeto, like an object of art. So the way it functions is that we come together around a table and we are all involved in each step of the making. We have the printed material, tenemos las páginas, tenemos el texto, la poesía, y nos sentamos alrededor de la mesa. We'll sit down and we'll begin folding the pages. We will then proceed to sew the signatures, the pages together. We use really simple materials. We use Elmer's glue. We use recycled cardboard. In the Phoenix Cartonera, which so I'm getting a little bit ahead because from Eloisa Cartonera as a beginning, maybe we can say, the movement did expand to so many other, muchos otros países de Latinoamérica, and I believe también a Europa actualmente. And when Cardboard House Press was founded in the mid-2000s, or in the mid-2010s, I should say. Then just a little bit later, a couple years later, the Cartonera Collective of Phoenix was formed. And then there were sister Cartonera collectives, one in Santa Cruz, California, one in New York City. And in our separate, or in our different places, which are shown on this lovely cardboard map, which you can also see in the exhibit, we were all part of a larger community. So we had our local collectives forming part of this larger movement, and we were all usually working on producing the same book at the same time, so that we would have, quantities. But what's interesting is that every single book that we make is touched by so many manos, so many hands, because it travels from folding and gluing and binding together. So we all participate in the steps. And we'll get to that, but what it does is it really is a wonderful community bonding event. So we find that we're not just binding books, but we're binding people together as well.
Yeah, I would just add that I think the experience of participating in the collective has been incredibly important for me. I grew up in Phoenix, and I left Phoenix in an absolute huff. I was like, I am done with this place. I'm never coming back if I can help it. And I did end up moving back, and shortly after moving back, met Giancarlo and Maggie, who were living in Phoenix at that time after moving from Bloomington. And they invited me to start making books at their house on Thursdays, and I would just come over and we'd make books together, eat food, talk, and it became a real point, a real tether for me to the notion of home, one that I was very ready to rid myself of. I was like, I'm done here. And yeah, once we were able to receive some funding to sort of formalize those workshops and expand them, in March of 2018, we had the first Cartonera Collective workshops. That was 5 years ago, in March, last month, where I met Claudia, I met Mary Hope Whitehead-Lee, who's another of the sort of key facilitators for our collective, and participating over the last couple of years has been such a glue. Yeah, we felt like the connections that are made relationally, both to the books, to the poetry, to the translations, to the process of publication, but also to one another, both within the workshops and beyond, have been just totally transformational. And so, yeah, in the exhibit, part of what we're trying to share, the testimonials from people who have participated in the various workshops at the various times, to hear a little bit about what that transformation has felt like for them. I just want to show a couple photos of folks from the workshops here in Phoenix, Raquel and Claudia here, Sophia, whose work with another press called Little Somethings, that was sort of an outgrowth of the types of bookmaking skills she learned at the Cartonera Collective. and Mary Hope, who is one of the sort of co-facilitators for the collective now in Phoenix and has been there since the start. Here in Santa Cruz, had a number of people who participated and were making copies of Kilimanjaro, which is this accordion book that you see up here, spread all the way out. And in New York, the collective was making copies of Cohen Underwater, which is the one with some corners cut off up there. So in any case, to celebrate these two most recent collections, we have the poets and the translators here via Zoom, so we're gonna connect them in now. And first, Tilsa Otta is going to be reading with Honora Spicer, and then next will be Yaxkin Melchy, and I'm the translator of this book, so I'll be reading with Yaxkin, but I'm going to just let them know. We'll be getting them connected. But yeah, if you have any sort of last reflections on the experience materially and relationally.
We could talk endlessly about how it's transformed our personal lives, expanded our community, but I just want to invite everyone, make sure you have the opportunity to spend some time. We're so grateful to the Institute of Contemporary Arts for having us here, and we, of course, are overwhelmed with how beautiful you've made it all look. And inside, going down the little hallway, you can pick up all the books, of course, on the shelves and in the hallway. There's a little video that we'll be playing which shows some of the process of how we make the books. But there are also books that come from other cartoneras, that come from some private collections. So you have the opportunity to see cartonera books from different years, different makers, different cartoneras, as well as our own Cartonera Collective.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we on the AV side ready to switch it over? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Bueno, buenas noches a todos. Gracias a Icala, a Ryan por la coordinación, la invitación, a Cardboard House por suscitar estos intercambios, y también quería agradecerle especialmente a Nora Spicer por el trabajo de su traducción, y no solamente por esta sensibilidad y agudeza en su trabajo, sino también por la nota de traductora que acompaña el libro, que me parece que da algunas claves que enriquecen mucho la lectura de estos poemas que vamos a compartir esta noche. Bueno, si me escuchan bien, quizás comenzamos la lectura, ¿sí?
Sí.
Bueno. Voy a comenzar con un poema que se llama Animal Definitivo. Animal definitivo. Oculta tu guante, perro lobo. El pueblo te alcanza y las noches son heavy. Susurra a distancia en un viento al oído. Encarna sustancia de Dios en colmillo. Sal. Deforma la cola del banco. Reeduca la institutriz. Diseña el castillo, lobo perro. No empines el codo. Cierra el hocico estirando la pata. Trasciende la búsqueda anal y salva el día. Concluye el desorden gitano, compuesto de planos con bobos. Decora el castillo, aspirando al eco. Perro, perro, perro. Tú eres perro. Lobo, lobo. Nacionalízate lobo. Recuerda tu origen y escupe la fruta. Escribe tu risa en la piel de la oveja. Roba, caza, aniquila. Copula con perras, copula con lobas. Mata, mata, ponte en cuatro. Este es tu himno, perro lobo. De canto obligado al liceo salvaje, en tardes peludas que a tientas entrañan. Lobo, perro, diablo pobre, animal definitivo. Ahora viene Nora con su versión.
Definitive animal. Conceal your gauntlet, wolf dog. The town is gaining on you and nights are heavy. Whisper distance in a wind at your ear. Incarnate the substance of Fang God, get out. Deform the bank queue, re-educate the governance. Design the castle, dog wolf, don't bend an elbow. Shut your snout, biting the dust. Transcend the anal quest and save the day. Finish off the nomad mess composed of pom-pom planes. Bedeck the castle, inhaling the echo. Dog, dog, dog. Your dog, wolf, wolf. Nationalize yourself, wolf. Remember your origin and spit up the fruit. Inscribe your laughter onto sheepskin. Rob, hunt, annihilate. Copulate with dogs, copulate with she-wolves. Kill, kill. Get down on all fours. This is your anthem, wolf dog. Obligatory song in wild lyceums. In hairy after hours that you tiptoeingly entrail. Dog, wolf. Devil pour, definitive animal.
Bueno, vamos con un segundo poema, ¿sí? ¿No me equivoco? La hormona de la oscuridad. Un club nocturno no hace un verano, mas creo en el perreo, eterno recreo, en la agitación de la masa crítica inclinándose ante sí misma. ¿Quién no ha soñado con la razón? Qué buenos libros tienes. Nunca olvides que las páginas porno son inseguras, activan recuerdos de otras vidas y luego no puedes cerrarlos. Nunca nos olvides, transmitimos el virus del lenguaje internacional del amor. Dioses paganos, nos dieron la vida pero queremos más. Tengo 3 cromosomas X, pero quiero más, 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 más. Quiero ser la hormona de la oscuridad. Quiero ver quién puede abrir más la boca, quién tiene la lengua más larga, más policías desarmados y vueltos a armar. ¿Quién puso un orificio donde había una ley? Un pito donde había un silbato, histérico, deteniendo el tráfico. Los semáforos se ponen rojísimos. Las ventanas a la calle no están funcionando. Nuestros cuerpos tienen goteras y bailamos en una posición heteropatriarcal, es decir, apenas metafísicamente presentes. Y las nubes, muy ocupadas, llueven y cómo se vienen sobre las alcantarillas con el mohín crítico de bebé crítico. Asesinos de turno de todo el mundo. Nos perdonaron la vida, pero queremos más. Tengo 3 deseos, pero quiero más. Todo el genio, todo el deseo. Quiero ser la hormona de tu crecimiento. Vamos a la cama a recuperar sueños. Salvar a los compañeros. Por suerte, hay todo tipo de gente. Amigos imaginarios y amigos de verdad. Gente que cree en UNE y por eso somos posibles. No olvides que somos relleno del mismo Dios de peluche que abrazan las niñas cuando tienen miedo. Nada.
Hormone of darkness. A nightclub doesn't make a summer, but I believe in verão, eternal recreation in the agitation of the critical mass bending before itself. Who hasn't dreamed of the reason? What good books you've got. Never forget that porn pages are insecure. They activate memories of other lives, and then you can't close them. Never forget us. We transmit the virus of the international language of love. Pagan gods gave us life, but we want more. I have 3 X chromosomes, but I want more, 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 more. I want to be the hormone of darkness. I want to see who can open their mouth wider, who has the longer tongue. More police disarmed and reassembled. Who put an orifice where there was a law, a cock where there was a whistle, hysterical holding up traffic, the stoplights blush so red. The windows to the street aren't working, our bodies leak and we dance. In an ethereal patriarchal position, i.e. hardly metaphysically present in the clouds, so occupied rain and how they come over the sewers with the critical baby pout on citrus, assassins on shift around the world. They spared our lives, but we want more. I have 3 wishes, but I want more. All the genius, all the desire. I want to be the hormone of your growth. Rescue our friends. Let's bed up to recover dreams. The world won't let up observing us. The editor will cover the intimate parts with black holes. Never forget that we're the fill of the same stuffed god kids hug when they're afraid. Luckily, there are all kind of folks, imaginary friends and real friends, folks who believe in you, and that's why we're possible. Never forget there are planets in other lives.
Y vamos a compartir un último poema de este libro. Se llama Caribe. Caribe. Todos los días extraño a mi novio. Cuando murieron sus perritas, me contó por chat y me puse a llorar. Quería estar con ella y consolarla, darle besos mientras le quito la ropa y resuelvo todo. Quisiera tener un perrito, parecido a un hogar. Debo conseguir una mínima estabilidad, caminar sobre la tierra para comenzar. Adivinen en qué estoy pensando. Pienso en establecerlo. Pienso en el Caribe. Un perrito a contraluz sacudiendo su cuerpo, salpicando en un milagro el mar transparente. Mi novia en la orilla leyendo teoría del arte en bikini, con gafas oscuras y muy pensativa. Sería un comercial de TV sin motivo. Una vida tan perfecta como un anuncio publicitario censurado y jamás emitido. No puedo creer estar enferma. Preferiría estar muy drogada, penetrando los misterios del universo, o con los chicos de Tinder, Moisés, Antonio, Javier, comiendo helado de baobab, extrañándola, pensando dónde establecernos, cómo será el rostro de nuestro perro, si todavía querrá ser mi novia en el Caribe después de todo esto.
Caribbean. Every day I miss my girlfriend. When her puppies died, she told me on chat, and I started to cry. I wanted to be with her and console her, kiss her as I take off her clothes and solve everything. I'd like to have a puppy, like a home. I should find minimal stability, walk on the earth to begin with. Guess what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about settling down. I'm thinking about the Caribbean, a puppy shaking dry against the sun, splashing the transparent sea into a miracle. My girlfriend on the shore reading art theory in a bikini, wearing sunglasses and very pensive. It would be a pointless TV commercial, a life perfect as an ad, censored and never issued. I can't believe I'm sick. I'd rather be really drugged, penetrating the mysteries of the universe, or with the Tinder guys, Moises, Antonio, Javier, eating baobab ice cream, missing her, thinking about where we'll settle down, what our dog's face will look like, if she'll even want to be my girlfriend in the Caribbean after all this. Thank you all. Thank you to Tilsa and to
Gracias.
Cardboard House.
Gracias a ustedes.
Do you hear me? Okay. Well, gracias. Thank you very much for this beautiful opportunity to read these poems and to present this beautiful Cartonera book. First, I want to give thanks to Ryan, to Giancarlo, of the Cardboard House Press, also to the museum for this space. Also, there are many people involved in this book, I think, and that makes me also very happy because it has a feeling of being a work of a community around this way of publishing books. And also thanks to Zawaco, to Roberto Chavarren and Enrique Verástegui, who have also made comments about this poetry and these poems. Actually, these poems, I began to write these poems, it was almost 15 years ago. And at that time I was also trying to integrate in some way to passions that I have. One is about scientific knowledge and study, and the other one is of course poetry. So I was thinking how to combine those two worlds into one single world full of meaning. And well, now with this opportunity I have also came to this proposal of the Poetechnics. Well, so I want to begin reading first what is the Poetechnics, so you can have also like an idea and then continue with the poems, and I will read them in Spanish. ¿Qué son las Poetechnicas? And it has an epigraph. It says, necesitamos un mundo de sueños para descubrir las características del mundo real que creemos que habitamos. Pellerano. ¿Qué son los Poetechnicas? Diseños poéticos que intervienen en los lenguajes tecnológicos y científicos, que se basan en la apropiación y exploración poética del lenguaje y las formas de pensar de las ciencias para reencontrar ecuaciones, diagramas, esquemas con las fibras del corazón. Las poetécnicas nos dicen que en la creación de la objetividad científica dialoga con la creación de nuestra subjetividad y que el objetivo está conectado con formas particulares de sentir y pensar. Las poetécnicas nos revelan que en los lenguajes del método científico también son subjetivos y que no hay problema con eso, pues estos lenguajes pueden ser trampolines para la subjetividad del científico y el poeta, un juego de conocimiento y corazón. En todo caso, cuidar de una subjetividad es cuidar de la otra. El laboratorio poético y el laboratorio científico no están disociados. El poeta es un científico y el científico es un poeta, reencontrados cuando ambos cultivan una observación del mundo en la cual el patrón medido de las cosas y su misterio, la respuesta y la pregunta danzan juntas, sin que una domine a la otra. Quizá esto es algo que necesitan tanto nuestras científicas, científicos y poetas, cultivar con libertad una mirada juvenil y maravillada de los mundos sin disociar mente y corazón. Yo veo las poetécnicas así, como una semilla de nuevas culturas en las cuales la ciencia y la poesía se vuelven a ver de otra manera, culturas que resuenan con la nueva naturaleza a la que convocaba el poeta Kenji Miyazawa y la poética integral de Enrique Verástegui. Las poetécnicas son una contribución al crecimiento de mundos entrelazados que sean más justos con la biodiversidad y más bellos, donde el ciclo de Krebs y la singularidad irreductible de la vida palpiten en el corazón mientras contempla germinar una semilla.
Okay. Okay, what are Poetechnics? We need a dream world in order to discover the features of the real world we think we inhabit. Poetic designs that intervene technological and scientific languages. They are rooted in the poetic appropriation. Oh. Okay. They're rooted in the poetic appropriation and exploration of scientific language and frameworks in order to re-engage equations, diagrams, and schematics using the fibers of the heart. Poetechnics tell us that scientific objectivity is in dialogue with the creation of our subjectivity, and that the objective is connected with particular forms of feeling and thinking. Poetechnics reveal that the languages of the scientific method are subjective and that there's nothing wrong with that. These languages can be springboards for the scientist's and poet's subjectivity, a game of knowledge and heart. Either way, to attend to one subjectivity is to attend to the other. The poetic laboratory and the scientific laboratory aren't dissociated from one another. The poet is a scientist and the scientist is a poet who meet again when they each cultivate an observation of the world where the measured pattern of things and their mystery, the answer and the question, dance together without either one dominating the other. Perhaps this is something that all our scientists and poets need, to freely cultivate a childlike and wonderstruck vision of our worlds without dissociating mind and body. I see Poetechnics as a seed of new cultures where science and poetry are seen in another way, cultures reverberating with the new nature summoned by the poet Kenji Miyazawa, and which was the integral poetics of Enrique Verástegui. Poetechnics are a contribution to the growth of interwoven worlds that can be more just toward biodiversity and more beautiful, and where the Krebs cycle and the irreducible singularity of life can beat within the heart as it watches a sprouting seed.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, I will continue. I just want to show you from the first poem. You will see I want to make a little trip through the book because there are many visual poems also. And actually, what I was doing also at that time, it was I was trying also to transform all my textbooks into poems, into poetry. Well, for example, I will begin just reading the titles from the first one that is a diagram that says, "Tu corazón tiene la forma de la ciencia. La ciencia tiene la forma de su corazón." And I will go down. Then you have also this NGC 6405, that is a butterfly, and it's about a constellation. Then La vida en el abismo. Then a poem called Arena, When There Comes the Plankton. Another poem that is The Sun. And un hombre camina sobre un cuestionario. That is a man walking across a questionnaire. Then a poem titled El Cielo, the Sky, that has also some diagrams when I was studying industrial design. And then a long poem that's called Principios de Energía Eléctrica y Electrónica. That is a poem that uses some notes and exercise of electronics that I transform in a journey on bicycle through the mountains of electricity, and it's called the Tour of France, the Tour de Francia. And then after this poem, it comes another poem. It's called the Future, en el futuro. A little poem that says, nos daremos cuenta de que todo es continuación mutante. And then a poem called Seis Electrones, and I will read this poem too. El futuro es un vientre, la tradición enraiza, crece como una espiral, flores, el ciclo de la vida es un campo, el carbono es una noción elemental de la poesía.
6 electrons. The future is a womb. Tradition puts down roots, grows like a spiral, flowers. The circle of life is a field. Carbon is an elemental notion of poetry.
And then el ciclo de Krebs. And the cycle of Krebs is about the way how plants are they breed. It's the scientific way to explain how plants breed. El ciclo de Krebs. Y si hablo de mi madre, doy una vuelta para mirarla a través de una colmena, donde las abejas construyeron agujeros en mí, fórmulas de pequeños rincones de la vida, fórmulas de los pequeños rincones de una flor respirando. Así la miro cubierta por todo el mundo enverdecido del sol y le doy la mano de mis enlaces.
Krebs cycle. When I talk about my mother, I turn to watch her through the eyes of a hive, where bees built holes within me, formulas from life's little corners, formulas from the little corners of a breathing flower. I watch her like this, covered by the whole sun-greened world, and I hold her hand with my chemical bonds.
Then the next page, I will read also this poem that's titled Caballos del Norte. Yeguas muertas de sed corren por las auroras, niño potro, Si no hay futuro, te dejo mi tiempo salvaje nuevamente. Palabrita salvaje, piecita de charco, en el fondo de ti vive la grieta, el fondo del estanque, cráneos arrojados por los soles que solidificaron su luz. Lavadoras, una sopa de moléculas, de nitrógeno, átomos de oxígeno, sílabas primigenias. La vida es la larga oración que se autorreproduce, larga oración que se autorreproduce. Poeta Rubén, se escuchan las letras de las flores que se abren, flores negras como yeguas que relinchan. Lo que digo camina con líneas punteadas como un cuerpo que ha cambiado de movimiento. No hay futuro, hacho la hierba. Yo te dije que estaba enamorado, pero no supe comprender que tanto mi amor era como un matorral de arbustos. Un viejo poeta frío me ve con un corazón de espada. Niño monstruo, si no hay futuro, yeguas muertas de sed correrán por las auroras.
Northern horses, thirst-dead mares run through the auroras, full child. If there's no future, I leave my wild time to you once again. Wild wordlet, little puddle skin, down in your depths lives the crack, the pond bottom, skulls hurled from the suns that solidified their light. Washing machines, a soup of nitrogen molecules, oxygen, atoms, primeval syllables. Life is the long sentence that auto-reproduces, long prayer that auto-reproduces. Poet Reuben. You can hear the flowers' letters unfurling, black flowers like neighing mares. What I say walks with dotted lines, like a body with a shifted motion. There's no future, I hack at the grass. I told you I was in love, but I couldn't comprehend how much my love was like a thicketed scrubland. A cold old poet watches me like a sword heart. Full child, if there's no future, thirst-dead mares will run through the auroras.
Okay, and now then it comes a poem that's called Algoritmo para el encendido de una lámpara. And following this poem is another one that is Libros en el Universo. And these two poems are also using like the language of the computers, the binary code. And I will read this one of Libros en el Universo. And the poem says, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1.
So we'll read a couple of poems.
Sure.
Okay. This is The Dream of Every Cell, El Sueño de Toda Célula by Marisela Guerrero. So we're going to start on page 17. Okay. Written in the original, of course, in Spanish and translated into English by Robin Myers, and we'll just start with the English version. Ms. Olmedo. Ms. Olmedo was the science teacher, and she taught us the basics of taxonomy and a method to collect, protect, and classify plant species. She also told us that a tree isn't an individual, but part of a network. Ms. Olmedo led us with her rising and falling voice into the language of humus, of nitrogen, of nutrients, and lullabies under the microscope lens. Ms. Olmedo put us in touch with words like Linnaeus, mitochondria, chlorophyll, dicotyledon, one Luca Guini, Mr. Hook, and our grandmothers. Once on the third floor lab, she showed a very select group of us a fetus at 4 weeks, and a horse fetus too. Another time, she taught us how to use a microscope. The dream of every cell is to become more cells. Cells that come from organisms that reproduce their shapes, cells for the shapes of reproduction and the species' own becoming. Tonight, 16 kilometers south and 47 minutes away, Ms. Olmedo's cells debate whether to become or not, and it's raining much harder than we expected.
La maestra Olmedo. La maestra Olmedo enseñaba ciencias y nos dio las bases de la taxonomía y un método para recolectar, resguardar y clasificar especies vegetales. También nos dijo que un árbol no es un individuo, sino que forman una red. La maestra Olmedo, con su voz de subida y de bajada, nos llevó al lenguaje de humus, de nitrógeno, de nutrientes y de canción de cuna bajo los lentes del microscopio. La maestra Olmedo nos puso en contacto con palabras como líneo, mitocondria, clorofila, dicotiledónea, un tal Luca Guini, el señor Hook y las abuelitas. Una vez en el laboratorio del tercer piso, a un grupo muy selecto nos mostró un feto de 4 semanas y otro de un caballo. En otra ocasión nos enseñó a usar los microscopios. El sueño de toda célula es devenir célula. Células que devienen de organismos que reproducen sus formas. Células para las formas de la reproducción y el devenir de las especies. Esta noche, a 16 kilómetros hacia el sur y a 47 minutos de distancia, las células de la maestra Olmedo se debaten entre devenir o no, y llueve mucho más de lo que esperábamos. 72 or 76?
72?
All right.
Okay. All right. Cells. We're saying this because we want to find a language of nitrogen and peat, of cells, oxygen, and voices that don't speak in coins or aptitudes. Voices, rumors that speak in shelter, that weave nets together, of together breath. Voices that will join Ms. Olmedo's voice and tell you in cell speak about chance and beauty and shared breath. We recover other people's searches and thread a gauzy blanket that will comfort and protect, and dream of wolves and cells that dream in joy and chance. I'd like to know if there will be room for all of us.
Células. Contamos esto porque nos queremos encontrar una lengua de humus y nitrógeno, células. Oxígeno y voces que no hablen en monedas y talentos, voces, rumores que hablen en cobijo, que tejan redes de respiraciones juntas, que con la maestra Olmedo les hablen en célula del azar, la belleza y respiración compartida. Recuperamos investigaciones previas para hilar un manto ligero que proteja y alivie, soñar con lobos y células que sueñan en el azar y la alegría. Quisiera saber si entramos todos.
Okay, we have a couple more if we're okay on time. One short one and one a little bit longer. Yeah? Okay. Questions. Do we write poems to save the species? We write poems and map routes to convey information that teaches us to follow joy as a vocation. Fireflies, humus, luminous bacteria. To nestle against the she-wolf's back on the mountainside. To stop is another way to flow.
Preguntas. ¿Escribimos poemas para preservar la especie? ¿Escribimos poemas y trazamos rutas para transmitir una información que muestre cómo seguir la vocación de alegría? Luciérnagas, bacterias luminosas, echarse al lomo de la loba bosque arriba. Detener es otra forma de fluir.
Beginnings. I'll begin with the fact that my carpenter father sometimes feels an ache in his lungs. I'll begin with the fact that one day we woke to thousands of butterflies all around us and the corpses of birds in the streets, that they kept us from driving, that we were frightened, and even then we didn't invent a better way to speak to them, to communicate. What is the dialectical variant in which to translate this? Molecules of water, phosphorus, nitrogen, salts, minerals, and shelter. How can a wood mother attend to the growth and the rhythm of her leaves, her shoots, seedlings on the riverbank? How can a wood mother send sharp and murky messages in painful molecules? Chants and interweavings, spaces that recover and blossom. To stop can be another way to flow and love. Saying is not enough. We have to breathe messages of humus and nitrogen and amino acids and joy. How? Chants. Here there's talk of trees and forests kilometers away, where wolves are freed and breathing's possible. There's talk of wolves and deer and quests for a language, so I can speak to you and shelter you with vibrancy and tenderness. Anemone. 8 years away from the day when we were soothed by an aloe vera plant, I raptly watched the video of some wolves you showed me. Wolves were reintroduced into a forest, 14 of them let loose into the preserve to run free. It all began with the wolves hunting the deer, the documentary says. They reduced the deer population and the plants grew again. Insects arrived and plants and tree shoots sprouted up anew. Birds returned and beavers built dams so that the river species would flourish and reptiles and rabbits. And there were ponds and the course of the river flowed mighty again. Guadalupe. Some meters away, Ms. Olmedo's cells recognized the information they gave in explorations of artificial forests and of organic forests in soups, in sweaters, in little woven garments, and could serenely say, enough. I dreamed of wolves. They were chasing us. There was room for all of us, opting for chance. To stop can be another way to flow. A pack besides us sleeps on the mountainside.
Partidas. El verbo parto, no estoy leyendo el poema, by the way, I'm not reading the poem. Parto, it means to begin, right? But parto in Spanish, it also means to give birth, to have a child. And this poem that talks about beginnings is the last one. So, partidas. Parto de que a mi padre carpintero a veces le duelen los pulmones. Parto de que un día amanecimos con miles de mariposas por todas partes y cadáveres de pájaros en las calles que restringieron el uso de los autos, que nos asustamos y de todas formas no inventamos una forma mejor de hablarles, de comunicarnos. ¿Cuál es la variante dialectal en que traducir esto? Moléculas de agua, fósforo, nitrógeno, sales minerales y cobijo. ¿De qué manera una madera madre atiende el crecimiento y el ritmo de sus hojas, sus retoños, plántulas a la vera? ¿De qué manera una madera madre puede enviar mensajes punzantes y turbios en moléculas dolorosas? Azar y entretejidos, espacios que se restauran y florecen. A veces detenerse es otra forma de fluir y amar. Decir no es suficiente, es preciso respirar. Mensajes de humus y nitrógeno y aminoácidos y alegría. ¿De qué manera? Azar. Aquí se dice de árboles y bosques a kilómetros de distancia, donde se sueltan lobos y se respira. Se dice de lobos y de ciervos, y también se busca una lengua en la que hablarte y cobijarte sea vibrante y tierno, anémona. A 8 años de distancia del día en que nos alivió una sábila, miré atentamente el video de los lobos que me mostraste. Reintrodujeron lobos en un bosque, 14, los echaron a correr por la reserva. Todo comenzó con los lobos cazando ciervos, dice el documental. Redujeron la población de ciervos y las plantas crecieron de nuevo. Llegaron insectos y florecieron nuevamente plantas y brotes de árboles. Regresaron aves y castores y construyeron diques para que las especies de los ríos prosperaran, y los reptiles y conejos. Y hubo charcas y el cauce de los ríos fue de nuevo caudaloso. Guadalupe. A unos metros de distancia, las células de la maestra Olmedo reconocen la información que dieron en exploraciones científicas a bosques artificiales y a bosques orgánicos, en sopas, en suéteres, en ropitas tejidas, y que podrían decir serenamente: basta. Soñé con lobos, nos perseguían, entramos todos, optar por el azar. A veces detenerse es otra forma de fluir. Una manada a nuestro lado duerme bosque arriba. Gracias. So thank you very much, and thanks again to the Institute of Contemporary Art, and I hope you like the exposition, the exhibition.